I do not believe that artificial intelligence is going to kill all of us. I think, first of all, it's important to draw the distinction between narrow AI, which is what we have today and what is being refined today, and AGI, or artificial general intelligence. Narrow AI is limited to particular contexts. Think of self-driving cars or voice recognition programs or Google Translate, which is not perfect, but it has become remarkably good in translating from one language to another. You can't take Google Translate, put it into a vehicle, and have it start driving the vehicle. Narrow AI cannot jump between contexts like that. So essentially, narrow AIs are very helpful tools, still imperfect tools, but tools that can assist us in solving certain problems that require large amounts of calculation, a little bit of adaptation within a particular context, essentially high throughput, repetitive types of tasks. Narrow AI isn't going to automate away the need for human judgment or creativity. Those are going to be skills that are in high demand across many professions over the course of the coming decades. In terms of AGI, which right now has not yet been developed, but some researchers such as Ben Goertzel and Peter Voss are working on it, AGI is probably several decades away. When it emerges, it may be capable of using creative judgment, but at that point, this is where documents like the Transhumanist Bill of Rights are extremely important, because we would have to ask the question, if it can act on as complex a level within everyday society or within our economy as we humans, is it sentient? Is it deserving of rights? And again, what sort of, if we make an error, what sort of error do we want to make? And I would suggest that thinking about questions of rights and respect for these kinds of entities now is important to preempt massive social upheaval later on. And that massive social upheaval, unfortunately, could be fueled by doomsaying regarding AI, either from the techno-Luddites or even from certain self-identified transhumanists who think there's a risk of a runaway cascade of recursively self-improving superintelligence that then also doesn't care about what humans want and uses humans incrementally for its ends, which would lead to the destruction of humanity. I think there are so many places along that chain of argumentation that are quite weak, actually. For instance, if you have the first AGI that is built that has human level capabilities, likely it's going to be housed on massive servers under human control. It's likely to be extremely fragile. It's likely to be able to be disabled by humans like that. And indeed, probably the greater threat would not be from the AI to the humans, it would be from humans to the AGI, and from them maybe inadvertently disabling it or disabling it out of fear, or maybe just our infrastructure will still be flawed like it is today, and there might be a power outage or some other glitch that could readily disable such a sentient entity. Just because an entity is intelligent or advanced doesn't mean it's going to be super powerful. Indeed, we have a great example of that in our world today, Stephen Hawking, one of the most brilliant men in the world, and yet in terms of his body, he can barely move any portion thereof. It's only through the aid of technology and the dedication of humans who assist him that he is able to function on as high a level. So maybe AGIs are going to be like Stephen Hawking's in the future. There is no reason to think they're going to be all-powerful Terminator-type bots.
So if a test laid out to me, this is an actual conversation, by the way, this wasn't a theoretical. Last night, a test laid out by the person who I was talking to, he claimed, well, a computer should never have the ability to have the discretion to hurt somebody, right? That a computer, even if it believes it's in self-defense, a computer shouldn't be able to kill a person. Do you agree with that?
I think that would be a very difficult proposition to defend once we have actually sentient beings, because that would be just like saying, well, we've had some wars with people from a certain country, and well, most of the time those people are decent and they're peaceful, but we really don't want them to hurt us. So why don't we insert a chip in all Iraqis to prevent them from ever engaging in acts of violence against Americans? And I think people would see the problem with that. There would be so many contexts in which humans as they are today would be capable of inflicting grievous harm or injustice. And that's not an anti-human statement, that's just a recognition of what is true and fairly ubiquitous in our world. So if you have a sentient entity, whatever it is, and it has been wronged in some way, shouldn't it have the right to defend its own existence? I think, of course, if you have just an instrumental system, I would actually be warier of giving it the ability to make decisions to utilize harmful force algorithmically. Say, right now a drone targeting system shouldn't be able to just use an algorithm to select its own targets because the algorithm could be flawed. It's actually not the outcome of sentience that I'm worried about. It's the dumb algorithms that I'm worried about, because those are the algorithms that could have mistakes or biases in their programming, and therefore the algorithm might think, oh, there's a 95.6% probability that this group of people is a group of terrorists, but you only get as good an output from your algorithm as the input data. And what if the input data are not culturally sensitive to, say, the behaviors of wedding parties in the Middle East? And that 95.6% probability, if you actually considered all the data, would be a 0.3% probability, but the algorithm is bad. So I think today one should certainly never allow automated algorithms to make the decision of who lives or who dies, or even to inflict milder harms.